Today's message is one that I believe is crucial for anyone striving for success. It's something that we all struggle with at some point in our lives: self-doubt. It's that nagging voice in our heads that tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to achieve our dreams. But I'm here to tell you that you are not alone in this battle. In fact, it's a common obstacle that even the most successful individuals have faced. The good news is you have the power to conquer self-doubt and achieve the success you desire. In this video, I will share with you 5 powerful ways to overcome self-doubt and reach your full potential. So if you're tired of letting self-doubt hold you back, then I urge you to keep watching. By the end of this video, you will have the tools and mindset to turn things around and start living your best life. So let's dive in and conquer self-doubt together. It is an honor to be here today and share with you the 5th way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success. As you all know, self-doubt is a common enemy that can hinder us from reaching our full potential. It creeps into our minds and whispers destructive thoughts that make us doubt our abilities and worth. But I am here to tell you that you have the power to conquer self-doubt and achieve the success you deserve. The 5th way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success is through practicing self-care and self-compassion. This may seem like a simple concept, but it is often overlooked and undervalued in our society. We are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us to push ourselves to the limit, to work harder and longer, and to sacrifice our well-being for success. But I am here to tell you that this mindset is flawed and can do more harm than good. Self-care and self-compassion are essential for our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. They are the foundation for success, and without them, we cannot reach our full potential. So, what exactly is self-care and self-compassion? Self-care is the act of taking care of oneself, both physically and mentally. It means prioritizing our needs and making sure we are nourishing our bodies, minds, and souls. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is the act of being kind and understanding towards ourselves. It means treating ourselves with the same love and compassion that we would show to a friend or a loved one. Now, you may be wondering, how can self-care and self-compassion help us conquer self-doubt and achieve success? Well, let me tell you. When we practice self-care, we are sending a message to ourselves that we are worthy of love and care. We are acknowledging our needs and taking the necessary steps to meet them. This, in turn, boosts our self-esteem and confidence, making us less susceptible to self-doubt. Think about it. When you are well-rested, well-fed, and in a positive state of mind, do you doubt yourself as much? I highly doubt it. When we take care of ourselves, we are better equipped to handle challenges and setbacks. We have the energy and resilience to bounce back from failures and keep moving forward towards our goals. Self-compassion, on the other hand, allows us to be kind to ourselves when we make mistakes or face failures. It is natural to doubt ourselves when things don't go as planned, but self-compassion reminds us that we are only human and that it is okay to make mistakes. It helps us to learn from our failures and use them as stepping stones towards success. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, but Jim, I don't have time for self-care and self-compassion. I have a busy schedule and I need to focus on my goals. My friends, let me tell you this. Self-care and self-compassion are not luxuries. They are necessities. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot achieve success if you are burnt out and exhausted. So how can we practice self-care and self-compassion in our daily lives? Well, it starts with small, simple actions. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to meditate, exercise, or practice gratitude. It can also mean setting boundaries and saying no to things that drain our energy and time. Remember, self-care is not selfish. It is necessary for our well-being. Self-compassion, on the other hand, can be practiced by being mindful of our self-talk. Instead of beating ourselves up when we make mistakes, we can choose to be understanding and kind towards ourselves. We can also surround ourselves with positive and supportive people who lift us up and remind us of our worth. My friends, self-care and self-compassion are powerful tools that can help us conquer self-doubt and achieve success. But they require consistent effort and practice. So I encourage you all to make self-care and self-compassion a priority in your life. Remember, you are worthy of love, care, and success. Now to number 4. The fourth way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success is taking action and embracing failure. Let me start by saying this. Self-doubt is the biggest obstacle standing in the way of your success. It is the voice inside your head that tells you that you are not good enough, that you will never make it, that you are not worthy of success. But I am here to tell you that those are just lies. They are nothing but limiting beliefs that hold you back from reaching your full potential. The good news is you have the power to silence that voice and overcome self-doubt. And the key to doing that is by taking action. You see, self-doubt thrives in inaction. When you are not taking any action towards your goals and dreams, your mind starts to doubt your abilities. It starts to question whether you are capable of achieving what you set out to do. And before you know it, you are stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and inaction. But when you take action, you are sending a powerful message to your mind that you are in control, that you are capable, and that you are not going to let self-doubt hold you back. And with each action you take, that voice of self-doubt gets weaker and weaker until it eventually fades away. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. What if I fail? What if I try and I don't succeed? Well, my friends, that brings me to the second part of this topic, embracing failure. You see, failure is not something to be feared. In fact, failure is an essential part of the journey to success. It is through failure that we learn, grow, and become better versions of ourselves. Think about it. Every successful person you admire has failed at some point in their journey. They have faced rejection, setbacks, and obstacles. But what sets them apart is their ability to embrace failure and use it as a stepping stone toward success. Let me share with you a personal story. When I first started my career as a motivational speaker, I faced a lot of failure. I was rejected by countless organizations. I received negative feedback. And I even had some people tell me that I was not cut out for this line of work. But instead of letting those failures discourage me, I used them as fuel to keep going. I learned from my mistakes. I improved my skills. And I kept taking action. And eventually, I achieved the success that I had always dreamed of. So, my friends, I urge you to embrace failure. Embrace it as a necessary part of your journey toward success. Because every failure brings you one step closer to your goals. Now, I know that taking action and embracing failure is easier said than done. It takes courage, determination, and a strong mindset. But I am here to tell you that you have what it takes to conquer self-doubt and achieve success. You have the power to take action, to silence that voice of self-doubt, and to keep moving forward despite failure. And as you do, you will start to see the results. You will start to see your dreams turning into reality and your self-doubt fading away. But let me be clear, this is not a one-time thing. Conquering self-doubt and achieving success is an ongoing process. It requires constant effort, dedication, and a willingness to keep pushing forward no matter what. And now to number 3. The third way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success is surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people. Now, you may be wondering, why is this so important? Well, let me tell you, the people you surround yourself with have a significant impact on your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. They can either lift you up or bring you down. Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who constantly complains, criticizes, and doubts themselves? How did you feel after spending time with them? I bet you felt drained, demotivated, and maybe even started doubting yourself. On the other hand, have you been around someone who radiates positivity, encouragement, and confidence? How did that make you feel? I bet you felt inspired, motivated, and ready to take on the world. That, my friends, is the power of the people we surround ourselves with. So if you want to conquer self-doubt and achieve success, you must be intentional about the people you allow into your inner circle. You must surround yourself with positive and supportive individuals who believe in you, uplift you, and push you to be your best self. But how do you find these people? Well, let me share with you some tips that have helped me and countless others in our journey toward success. First and foremost, you must be clear about your goals and values. When you know what you want to achieve and what you stand for, it becomes easier to attract like-minded individuals into your life. These are the people who will understand your vision, support your dreams, and help you overcome self-doubt. Next, you must be willing to let go of toxic relationships. We all have people in our lives who drain our energy, bring us down, and constantly feed our self-doubt. It could be a friend, a family member, or even a colleague. As hard as it may be, you must distance yourself from these individuals. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. Now you may be thinking, what if I don't have anyone in my life who fits the description of a positive and supportive person? Well, my friends, that is where personal development comes in. You must become the person you want to attract. Start by working on your mindset, beliefs, and habits. Surround yourself with positive and uplifting material books, podcasts, seminars, and workshops. You will be amazed at how quickly you will attract like-minded individuals into your life when you are on the same frequency. Another way to find positive and supportive people is by joining groups or communities that align with your goals and values. It could be a mastermind group, a networking group, or even an online community. These are great places to meet people who are on a similar journey as you and can provide the support and encouragement you need to conquer self-doubt and achieve success. But remember, it's not just about finding positive and supportive people. It's also about being one. Be the person who uplifts and encourages others. Be the person who believes in their dreams and helps them overcome their self-doubt. When you give, you receive tenfold, and the universe has a way of bringing the right people into your life when you are in alignment with your values and goals. Now let me address a common misconception. Surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people does not mean surrounding yourself with yes men and women. These are individuals who will only tell you what you want to hear and never challenge you to be better. No, my friends, surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people means surrounding yourself with individuals who will hold you accountable, challenge you to grow, and push you to reach your full potential. Now to number 2. The number 2 way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success is setting realistic goals. We all have dreams and aspirations, but without a clear plan and realistic goals, these dreams will remain just that, dreams. Setting goals is crucial for personal growth and success. It gives us a sense of direction and purpose, and it allows us to measure our progress along the way. But let me tell you, setting goals is not enough. You must set realistic goals. This means setting goals that are achievable and within your reach. Now, this does not mean setting mediocre goals or settling for less than you deserve. It simply means setting goals that are challenging yet attainable. You see, many people make the mistake of setting unrealistic goals. They want to achieve everything overnight. And when they don't see immediate results, they become discouraged and doubt their abilities. This self-doubt can be crippling and can hinder our progress towards success. So, how do we set realistic goals? The first step is to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve. Take some time to reflect on your dreams and aspirations. What do you want to accomplish in your life? What is your ultimate goal? Once you have a clear vision, break it down into smaller, achievable goals. For example, if your ultimate goal is to become a successful entrepreneur, Your smaller goals could include starting a business plan, securing funding, and launching your product or service. These are all achievable goals that will eventually lead you to your ultimate goal. Next, it is important to set a timeline for your goals. This will give you a sense of urgency and keep you motivated. But be realistic with your timeline. Don't set a deadline that is too short or too long. Set a timeline that is challenging yet attainable. Another crucial aspect of setting realistic goals is to have a plan in place. As the saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a wish. You must have a clear plan of action to achieve your goals. This plan should include specific steps and milestones that will help you reach your goals. But let me warn you, setting realistic goals does not mean that there won't be challenges and setbacks along the way. In fact, setbacks are inevitable on the road to success. But the key is to not let these setbacks discourage you or make you doubt yourself. Instead, use them as learning opportunities and adjust your plan accordingly. One of the biggest mistakes people make when setting goals is focusing solely on the end result. While it is important to have a clear vision of your ultimate goal, it is equally important to enjoy the journey towards achieving it. Celebrate your small wins and milestones along the way. This will keep you motivated and give you a sense of accomplishment. Now, I want to address a common misconception about setting realistic goals. Many people believe that setting realistic goals means limiting yourself and your potential. But let me tell you, that couldn't be further from the truth. Setting realistic goals actually allows you to tap into your full potential and achieve even greater success. When you set unrealistic goals, you are setting yourself up for failure. This can be demoralizing and can lead to self-doubt. On the other hand, when you set realistic goals and achieve them, you build confidence and self-belief. This will propel you towards even greater success. And now to number one. Number one is often overlooked, but has the ability to hold us back from achieving our true potential: self-doubt. Self-doubt is a destructive force that can cripple our dreams and paralyze our actions. It is the voice in our head that tells us we are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to achieve our goals. It is the seed of negativity that takes root in our minds and grows into a forest of self-limiting beliefs. But I am here to tell you that self-doubt is not a permanent state of mind. It is a choice that we make, and it is a choice that we can change. The number one way to conquer self-doubt and achieve success is to identify and challenge negative thoughts. Our thoughts have the power to shape our reality. If we constantly think negative thoughts, we will attract negative outcomes. But if we can identify and challenge those negative thoughts, we can change the course of our lives. So how do we identify negative thoughts? The first step is to become aware of them. Our thoughts are like a river, constantly flowing in and out of our minds. We must learn to observe them without judgment. When a negative thought arises, we must acknowledge it and then let it go. We must not dwell on it or let it consume us. Instead, we must challenge it. Challenging negative thoughts means questioning their validity. We must ask ourselves, is this thought based on facts or on my fears? More often than not, our negative thoughts are not rooted in reality. They are simply projections of our fears and insecurities. By challenging them, we can weaken their hold on us. For example, if you have a dream of starting your own business, but the thought of failure constantly haunts you, ask yourself, is this fear based on facts? Have I actually tried and failed before? Most likely the answer is no. So why let this fear hold you back? Challenge it and replace it with a positive thought. Tell yourself, I am capable and determined. I will learn from any mistakes and use them to grow and succeed. The next step is to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Our minds are like a garden, and our thoughts are the seeds we plant. If we constantly plant seeds of doubt and fear, we will reap a harvest of failure. But if we plant seeds of positivity and belief, we will reap a harvest of success. This is not to say that we should ignore the potential challenges and obstacles that may come our way. It is important to be realistic and prepared. But we must also have faith in our abilities and trust that we can overcome any challenges that come our way. Another powerful way to challenge negative thoughts is to surround ourselves with positive influences. The people we spend the most time with have a significant impact on our thoughts and beliefs. If we surround ourselves with negative and pessimistic people, we will begin to adopt their mindset. But if we surround ourselves with positive and supportive individuals, we will be uplifted and encouraged. In addition to the people we surround ourselves with, the books we read, the podcasts we listen to, and the videos we watch also play a significant role in shaping our thoughts. Make a conscious effort to consume positive and motivational content. Fill your mind with stories of people who have overcome self-doubt and achieved great success. Let their stories inspire and motivate you to do the same. Now, I want to address a common misconception about self-doubt. Many people believe that successful individuals do not experience self-doubt. But let me tell you, this is far from the truth. Every single one of us, no matter how successful, has experienced self-doubt at some point in our lives. The difference is that successful individuals have learned to identify and challenge those negative thoughts, and they do not let them hold them back. So my challenge to you today is to start identifying and challenging your negative thoughts. Make a conscious effort to replace them with positive ones. Surround yourself with positive influences and consume motivational content. And most importantly, believe in yourself and your abilities. Remember, the only limits we have are the ones we set for ourselves. Thank you.
Today, you still have a real chance to turn your dreams into reality, to make yourself into exactly what you want to be, no matter who you are or where you start from. That's why we should be doing everything we can to make the most of the opportunities that have been given to us. But I also say take care, or maybe even beware, because the stuff that really matters can get buried under everything else. The right stuff can get smothered under all the plastic and shiny metal. And what you've got becomes a little less important than what you are. I'm talking about character now, the ability to inspire yourself that qualifies you, that gives you the right, that makes you worthy to lead others. Does it seem to you that a lot of people are succeeding these days without the benefit of a strongly developed character? It does seem that way to me sometimes, but I think some very positive signs are beginning to appear. We're starting to realize that we'd better remember what got us this far if we expect to go any farther. I think one of the sharpest distinctions between people is between the small percent who look words up in the dictionary and the overwhelming majority that don't. I looked up the word character in the dictionary. I learned the origin of the word, and then I just sat there for a minute and realized that in this case, the origin of the word just about says it all. Character is derived from the Greek word for chisel. And of course, a chisel is a sharp steel tool used for making a sculpture out of a hard or difficult material like granite or marble. And a chisel is also used for stripping away waste material from an object, stripping away stuff that might get in the way in order to get down to the essential thing, the thing that really matters. You've got to chisel your character out of the raw material of yourself, just like a sculptor has to create a statue. The raw material is always there. Everything that happens to you, good or bad, is an opportunity for building your character. Character doesn't refer to other people. It doesn't refer to having power over other people or getting other people to follow you or gaining favor with other people. Character is something that you have and that you are. You could be marooned on a desert island, and your character would still be important. In fact, it would likely be very important in that situation. But charisma wouldn't do you any good at all. Charisma requires the presence of others, while character is all about you. Character is the person you are after you've chiseled and have gotten past all the unnecessary material to what's underneath. A person of character looks within for the true source of inspiration and energy. Powerful personalities often resist delegating authority, but it's an attitude of character for a leader to refrain from making himself or herself the indispensable heart and soul of an organization. People of character are usually well loved by everyone around them, but they make it clear that their own first love is for the truth, even if it hurts. Character is the result of hundreds and hundreds of choices you may make that gradually turn who you are at any given moment into who you want to be. If that decision-making process is not present, you'll still be somebody, you'll still be alive, but may have a personality rather than a character. And to me, that's something very different. Character isn't something you were born with and can't change like your fingerprints. It's something you weren't born with and that you must take responsibility for making. You may not be able to cross the Rocky Mountains in a covered wagon, but you can still create a better life for yourself by crossing the mountains of your soul, and that may be even a greater challenge. There used to be a joke about football teams that lost every game. The coach would say, "We built a lot of character this year, didn't we?" As if character is something that you settle for when you haven't achieved what you really wanted. Or as if character is something that automatically develops in you as a result of adversity. I don't buy that. I don't think adversity by itself builds character, and I certainly don't think that success erodes it. You can build character by how you respond to what happens in your life, whether it's winning every game or losing every game, or getting rich or dealing with hard times. You build character out of certain qualities that you must create and diligently nurture within yourself, just like you would plant and water a seed or gather wood and build a campfire. You've got to look for those things in your heart and in your gut. You've got to chisel away in order to find them, just like chiseling away rock in order to create the sculpture that has previously existed only in your imagination. But the really amazing thing about character is that if you're sincerely committed to making yourself into the person you want to be, you'll not only create those qualities, you'll strengthen them and recreate them in abundance even as you're drawing on them every day of your life. Since ancient times, philosophers have seen it as the basis of all real achievement. This is the quality of courage. A truly courageous person is not someone who never feels fear, but who fears the right thing at the right time in the right way. Now, keeping in mind our idea that a courageous person is not someone who never feels fear, but who fears the right thing at the right time in the right way, let's ask ourselves if these fears really fit that definition. I think if we look a little deeper, we'll see that what really scares people about these situations is the sense that they're going to be helpless, that all their trust was placed in somebody or something, and now they've been let down and they can't do anything. They're helpless. But remember, you're never really helpless. And the sense that you are helpless, or that you might be if certain things were to happen, is something we really ought to be afraid of, and that we should refuse to accept. You're never just a victim of circumstances. No matter what happens, you're never without options that can get you back on track. It takes courage to recognize that, because it means accepting responsibility for your own future. But I would suggest that we should accept that responsibility because no one is really going to accept it for us, no matter what we may have been led to believe. Let me emphasize that underlying most fear is the fear of helplessness, of being victimized or being blown around by the winds of fate like a leaf is blown off a tree. But is that really a legitimate way of looking at things? To me, it sounds like being afraid of the dark, in which case the best thing to do is to get yourself up, out of bed, and switch on the light. After all, the people who built this country didn't feel helpless when they faced obstacles that we can hardly even imagine today. Your fears are about not living up to your ideals, about reacting instead of acting, about not taking advantage of the opportunities that are always within reach. A truly courageous person is not afraid of what might or might not happen next week or next year. He fears not making the most of every moment today. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Demosthenes went searching for an honest man, and he never found one. There was a time when telling a lie was very serious business. Lying was a very serious matter. It was also very serious if you accuse someone of lying. Today, a breach of integrity in a business matter might mean calling in the lawyers. But for hundreds of years in the past, calling someone a liar was the most common way to provoke a duel. Dishonesty was treated like a personal insult that demanded immediate redress. Everyone knew the big problems that could result if you got caught, so lying to another person took a certain amount of, what's the right word, foolish bravery, maybe. But there's no such risk today, is there? Some people lie all the time without thinking about it. Most people know when they're being lied to, which they may find irritating, but they just accept it. Maybe they decide to become liars themselves. Many people don't feel the same kind of personal responsibility about paying debts promptly. And today, of course, we can put off paying for our purchases as long as we can make the minimum payment on our credit card. That pain that comes with having to shell out hard cash for something, the pain of maybe having to give something up in order to have this thing, we can avoid that pain. It's painful in just the same way that paying a big fat bill is painful. In fact, we even use the same words to talk about paying debts and telling the truth. We may talk about somebody's word being like money in the bank. We talk about being held accountable, about having to account for yourself, about being called to account. If you've done something that you're really not proud of and you're called to account for it, what does that feel like? How do you handle it? What are your options when you've got to explain something that makes you uncomfortable? It's a bit like that moment of decision when the credit card bill comes every month. If you want to pay off the whole balance, there may be some pain and sacrifice involved. You may have to grit your teeth. You know that your life will be simpler in the long run, but it's going to hurt a little right now to pay off the new golf clubs or the new computer. Or how about the 60-foot yacht? I don't actually know if you can put a yacht on a credit card, but I've certainly known people who would if they could. Gritting your teeth and paying in full can hurt. So quite often it seems easier to pay the minimum and delay the pain until next month. It's easier to float the truth of your finances off into a little imaginary plastic flying carpet and sail it into the mailbox. Of course, it's not really a flying carpet. It's more like a boomerang that's going to come around and hit you in the back of the head someday. What a tangled web we weave when at first we practice to deceive. Maybe you think I'm being a bit tough here. Am I really saying that in every instance you've got to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So if somebody asks me, "How are you today?" I'm supposed to say, "I got to be honest with you, I have a sore finger. Last night I had a headache, and I've got to admit that my foot hurts a little." No, that's not what I mean. In fact, I think there are many times when some flexibility with the whole truth and nothing but the truth is called for. However, planned lying, lying with an ulterior motive, lying for personal gain, that kind of lying is definitely something to be avoided. Remember what we said about courage? Courage is fearing the right thing at the right time and in the right way. Fear the temptation to misrepresent who you are or what you've done or intend to do. Trust who you really are. Trust your ability to earn the respect of others. Pay whatever price the truth costs. Pay that bill immediately, because in the long run, it's a real bargain. When you're in a leadership position, whether it's in a business or as the head of a family, honesty and integrity are not as important as money or shelter or a telephone. Honesty and integrity are infinitely more important than any of those things. You have the choice of how you will be seen, but you will be seen one way or the other. Make no mistake about that. Leadership of a family demands even higher standards of honesty and integrity. And the stakes are higher too. You can replace disgruntled employees and start over. You can even get a new job for yourself if it comes to that. But your family can't be shuffled like a deck of cards. It might be tempting, for the sake of consistency, to assert that you should always tell the whole truth exactly as you see it in every situation. But I've lived long enough in the real world to know things just aren't that simple. Shakespeare wrote of one of his characters, "Every man has his fault, and honesty is his. He is more honest than wise." Just as there is a difference between blowing hot air and premeditated dishonesty, there's also a difference between lying and recognizing the importance of diplomacy. How can you tell the difference? Your gut feelings will tell you. By the time we reach adulthood, I think most of us have extremely accurate ethical barometers built into our heads and hearts. We may choose to ignore what that ethical barometer tells us, but it's there nonetheless. When you're in a leadership role, I believe there's at least one situation in which you're almost always justified in stretching the truth to some degree. And here it is. You should overstate your degree of enthusiasm for your employees' work. You may use many carrots and very few sticks. Your recipe for dealing with subordinates should include at least 3 parts praise for every 1 part of criticism. Will this stretching of the truth cost you respect? I don't think so. Will a little sugarcoating of your true feelings foster greater productivity, better work, and improved morale? Absolutely. And that conclusion is supported by a great deal of behavioral science research. Praise is one of the world's most effective teaching and leadership tools. Criticism and blame, even if deserved, are counterproductive unless all other approaches have failed. Vince Lombardi, the late coach of the Green Bay Packers, certainly deserved his reputation as a tough manager and a man of strong character. But even he knew the importance of building up people's ego. We can call it diplomacy or psychology or just plain flattery, but it often brings out the best in people, and it's the grease that keeps the machine of human interactions functioning smoothly. So honesty is the best policy, but sometimes a little less than total honesty is even better. We've been talking mostly about the importance of honesty and integrity in dealing with other people, but I want to conclude now by focusing on what those qualities mean to your relationship with yourself. I think a term from clinical psychology is useful here. The term is cognitive dissonance. And I'll use a quick example to illustrate what it means. Let's consider a man who is an expert on personal financial planning. He makes a good living advising people about life insurance, trust funds, and the various kinds of mortgages. But a great deal of his business is devoted to helping individuals who have gotten themselves deeply into debt. who need to tear up their credit cards and start saving instead of spending. Sometimes there is no alternative but declaring bankruptcy and starting over. We are so surprised when one day this expert on personal financial planning says that he is going out of business. I just can't take the pressure anymore. It's too much stress. We can understand that. It must be stressful facing the problems of one person after another who's gotten into trouble financially, to work through it with them day in and day out. But here is the big surprise. I'm the one who's in trouble financially, he suddenly admits. I'm behind on everything, even my car payment. And after lecturing about the perils of debt all day, I can't stand to look in the mirror anymore. Wow. This man is experiencing cognitive dissonance in an extreme form. He is trying to live with two conflicting images of himself in his head, and the strain is simply using up all his energy. He's fundamentally a good person. He really believes in doing the right thing, but that's the trouble. He knows he's living a lie, and the stress of that finally gets to him. You might be surprised by the percentage of high-level managers and professional people who secretly know that they're presenting a false image to the world. The need to keep up appearances, the competition with peers, the pressure to make every year better than the last one, all this can make it very tempting to put on a mask. I'm not talking about just boasting here. I'm talking about creating a real split between what you're telling the world and what you know is the real truth about yourself. All the world's a stage, and to some extent we're all playing roles, but living with honesty and integrity can make it all a great deal easier. This is where ethics and psychology really overlap. Not only is it right to minimize cognitive dissonance, in the long run, it's a lot easier on your psyche. We all know people who have gotten ahead as a result of dishonest or unethical behavior. When you're a kid, you think that never happens. But when you get older, you realize that it does. But then you think you've really wised up. But that's not the end of it. When you get older, you see the long-term consequences of dishonest gain, and you realize that it doesn't pay in the end. I've seen people who have made millions with questionable business tactics, and I've also seen a higher percentage of health problems among those people than any insurance actuary could